Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to Jay's One Key Event 4th edition. We are back with this round of 32 weekend with another very exciting matchup for you guys here today. It is going to be our 14th seed, DimplesRMe, taking on our 19th seed, Jakson, to see who will be continuing on their quest in the winner's bracket and who will drop down to that lower bracket. As always, my name is Sparky, and I'm joined in the commentary booth this time around by none other than Sunny. How's it going, man?
It has been going excellent, Sparky. Took a little bit of a break from our previous match, which was a very fun one to look at. And I would also believe this one would be also very fun to look at. DimplesRMe, very, very good knowledge for them, as I actually teamed up with them alongside Verdon all the way back in One Key World Cup 2024. And Jakson has been around for a while, so I think veteran is quite a stretch, but two players that have been around for quite a while in the One Key scene, going head to head for their winners bracket lives here. It is going to be a fun match.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like while these two have been around the One Key scene for a while, I don't think we've actually seen them play up against each other, so it'll be interesting to see how these two stack up. The seeding pretty close, but we have seen trending towards the higher seeded players so far in these matchups. I think the last match was the first time this weekend a lower seeded player has taken a point off of a higher seeded opponent, so we'll just wait and see how things go here. The rolls come through 31 and 16, Dimples winning the roll. As a reminder, there are no bans or protects in this tournament.
Yeah, kind of throwing a curveball at you here. So you are forced to play every single, well, not every single map, but you can't knock out or keep any map for granted. You must face at least all these maps. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, there was a lot of hard work put into these maps.
Yeah. I mean, you can avoid them, but your opponent could most definitely kind of just step on a dime and just pick it. You can't really knock any of these out for good. And here we go, underway with our first pick. Makes sense for Dimples. They are a LN specialist, I'd say. They do shine brighter in that LN/hybrid department. Going ahead for hybrid one here, gonna be a geometrical dominator here.
Yeah, one of the lesser picked maps in this pool I've found over the last couple of matches, where it usually tends to get ignored. And seeing it here as a first pick, I mean, not surprising that Dimples would throw this out first. They are pretty physically capable in their own right, so it's just going to be to wait and see how Jakson stacks up in terms of that physicality. There are a lot of really awkward trip up patterns in this map.
Yeah, so as long as Dimples doesn't find as I give them a curse here to open up this match, I would say just as long as these players kind of practice this map to kind of get the feel on how this goes, because then again, there are some fast pattern switch ups, like just you saw those very fast doubles being thrown at you, and then you have these bursts coming out, and Dimples really struggling to nail these to a T. And combo pay is a huge role in this tournament compared to other multi-key mode tournaments. You're only hitting the spacebar here, or just one key in general, so building up that combo is a very important thing to do for any of these maps, really. But Jakson does find a few trades of misses in return, and Dimples making a fine recovery here. So still 17,000 points, but could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to keep those misses to a minimum from Jakson, or should I say, keep them clean in the grand scheme of things, able to keep them ahead by about 20,000 points. The fact that Dimples hasn't really made that much of an impression in terms of rebuilding the accuracy, kind of keeping Jakson afloat, especially with the fact that Dimples is back up over that 400 combo cap, Jakson joining them thereafter. And with the map as short as this, I mean, the damage was done very early on, and Jakson, the beneficiary of those early drops from Dimples, going to be able to pick up a break point to start this match off and make it 0-1.
Yeah, taking a very early break point here to make things 1-0 to begin off this round of 32 match. And It's very interesting as Dimples did find less 100s than Jakson, and that ratio stayed relatively close, as well as these 200 counts not being too far from each other. It was just primarily Dimples finding a bit more of those nasty breaks than what they anticipated, and Jakson going to immediately whip out the speed pick here, which makes sense, honestly. If you're going up against a player like Dimples, they struggle in speed. I shouldn't say struggle, but that's definitely what they lack the most in contrast to other skill sets. At least in my history of seeing them, speed is not their main suit here.
Yeah, definitely just outside the comfort zone a little bit. Definitely able to swing a score on it. But, I mean, given that performance in Geometrical Dominator, the fact that the doublets and some of the faster bursts were the things giving them trouble, I imagine Jakson might have keyed in on that a little bit. That, or, I mean, Jakson is a very good Rice player in their own right, able to swing 990Ks on early game maps with regularity. But, actually, the shoe going to be on the other foot. Jakson picking up the early drop to start things off. Kept it relatively clean, but because it's such early going, going to account for about 2% in terms of accuracy that they need to rebuild on, and doing a pretty good job of rebuilding it right out of the gate.
Yeah, and Dimples having a pretty early lead, but then again, there are lots of fast bursts that come raining down here. These 242 BPM bursts, although they don't last very long, still not careful enough could lead to very catastrophic damage either side. And that was a very early break, like you mentioned. This map goes on for quite a bit, 3.5 minutes to be exact almost, and Dimples managing to keep things in their zone for roughly 3,000 points here, and they're about to cross that 400 combo cap, but Jakson not too far behind here, and I feel Dimples would need a bit of insurance if they want to really nail things home.
Yeah, that is a very strong response from Dimples so far in this map. About 4,000 points, that's usually the buffer when things even out a little bit, with the accuracies being as close as they are with a miss versus the FC. The fact that it was so early on kind of doing Jakson a bit of a favor in ensuring that Dimples didn't get too much free time above that 400 combo cap. Gonna get a bit of a feeling change here. The BPM does shift, and the players are gonna see that the gap is about 3,500 points. So work to do for Jakson, and Dimples gotta work equally as hard to ensure they don't surrender this lead.
Yeah, and as Dimples and Jakson approach this break here, although there is still a lot of map left to go here, Jakson just behind now by a full 10th of a percentage now in this halfway mark where things do settle down just a bit. Still within a miss of difference here, so Dimples really needs to keep all hands on deck here for the remaining third of this map.
They're doing a really good job. The fact that these doubles are so spaced out in terms of how often you have to do them is basically being their saving grace right now. These 1-4 patterns are definitely much easier to withstand and actually be able to build up in terms of accuracy, climbing up closer to that 99.7 mark. Jakson doing their best, starting to lag a little bit behind in terms of overall pace. The quarter of the map still left to go, about 0.3% behind as we go back to the original BPM. That slowdown section now officially over. Is there going to be any mess ups here on the transitional moments? About 5,000 points of lead for Dimples as we make our way to this outro.
Yeah, Dimples managing to keep. Oh, but there's a couple sloppy judgments there. 100s and 200s, but that lead is still flickering back and forth. They have the combo advantage by just the slightest of margins, but it's 500s of accuracy. Jakson needs to find some form of judgment ASAP, as now that lead's starting to bleed over to their side. There is still maps doing, and there's a 200. That'll swing things back into Dimples' favor, but it's flickering back and forth. No,
Dimples finding the break at the very Jakson trade. My God,
oh my God!
118 points, the difference between the two of them, and Jakson manages to squeak it out at the very end of the map. Oh my God, what an outro.
An absolute roller coaster near the end there, and Jakson swipes the carpet from underneath and steals the point right when Dimples had it in their hand, and makes things early 2-0.
My jaw's on the floor. What an
I know.
ending. Like we were ready to be like, no, Dimples, then Jackson's gonna run, and then Jackson, what? There's just so much going on there at the end. But Dimples, gonna stick back to what they're more comfortable with. Gonna go for LN2 as a response to that speed pick.
Yeah, and we are going to head into our first LN pick of this map. The more timing-based LN pick here. Dimples looking to see if they can just slightly win off of that accuracy game here. And honestly, I could definitely see Dimples trying to capitalize off of something like that. They just really need to tread with caution here. Although, like I mentioned earlier, they are a very solid LN player. We did see in Hybrid 1 that Jakson is also very strong in that department. Although Hybrid is not, the exact same as LN, it's still a little comparison to see just. But let's see how these players do on the more easier when it comes to physical, but more or less how well they are at timing these long notes, because they are brutal.
Yeah, so many varying lengths to these LN tails as opposed to LN1, where it's basically just a consistency test. So there's some awkward releases. These doubles do get a little invasive, especially when they transition into triples. If you're not ready for that swing, you find the drop, and Dimple's gonna be the first one to find the drop. Jakson trading a bit of accuracy in response, but still holding on to the FC, being able to stretch this advantage to the tune of about 8,000 points for now.
Yeah, but that was a pretty early break from Dimples. That was the first quarter, and Jakson only ahead by roughly 0.2% here, but that is an 8,000 point difference, and they are just creeping up to that 400 combo cap here. But that act continues to grow for Dimples here, and I mean, there is still plenty of time for stuff to happen, but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's the fact that Jackson's having so much free time above that 400 combo cap. Dimples just now encroaching on it. Now the accuracy gain that they're starting to see for themselves can maybe start chipping away in this lead, but I mean, the bulk of this 9,000 points is just off of that singular slider break. I mean, there's still half the map left to go. Anything can still happen, and there are still some tricky patterns to read through, and I mean, it's just a rain of 300s, it feels like, from Jakson, transitioning out of that section. A 200 for the road as well, going to bring them to a bit of a deficit, and now Dimple's starting to chip away at this lead, under 8,000 points now.
Yeah, slowly but surely chipping away, and I believe that was a 200 found by Jakson. A few more, and now they are at 6,000 points, and still, I think a miss will do it, but Jakson has been oh so concentrated on this map here. And if they don't find anything, I mean, it's probably just going to stay like this, but Dimples needs to find some big break here if they want to get some, at least some leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an eighth of the map still left to go. Anything can still happen, but I mean, Jakson would need to lose maybe like 0.2% to put this in any risk, and I mean, still holding on to the FC here. Under 6,000, under 5,000 now. A couple of sloppy releases here at the end. Got to make sure you make every single one count. It can catch you off guard. Dimples with a slider break at the end, but it's not going to matter. Jakson gets a second break point in this match and makes it a match point situation right out of the gate here.
Yeah, and what better place to get one than at a breakpoint situation as well. They do snag the breakpoint from Dimples, and now it is their pick of the litter on what they want to go for here. And I mean, maybe race 1 could be what we see from Jakson. I know it's been also a very popular map, and there it is. They are going to try to, go for that ratio battle and see who can just get the better ratio in general. And here we go. Honestly, I've seen already what these players can do with this map. I'm scared.
Yeah, this is when everybody can ratio a map, it makes every single 300 matter that much more. Like double-digit perfects at the upper end of the bracket. I mean, trying to keep it close to 100 if you're in the middle of the bracket, and if you're in the lower end of the bracket, I mean, just trying to FC it is kind of the goal. And with it being as short as it is, a singular miss is about 15,000 points. So yeah, don't miss.
Yeah, just try to really just keep things in check there. I mean, you put it there very well. And here we go. Dimples, quote, gambling here and hoping their keyboard doesn't, break on them here. Or I forgot what they directly said, but something along the lines of that. Probably just like a misinput situation. But here we go, underway with Rice 1. And these players need to really stay on top here throughout this entire map. They cannot afford a random splurge of 300s because these players, I know this will probably be the closest they'll have by each other by the neck here.
Yeah, both of these players' early game accuracy is outrageously good when it comes to these like Rice 1, Rice 2 style picks. So 99.7 gonna be the marker. I imagine anything higher is a bonus. And right now we can see it coming to fruition, about a 10th of a percent separating the two players. Dimples ahead for the moment, a third of the way through the map. It's only about 1,000 points. It can swing in an instant. A 200 can easily spell disaster for either of these players. Gotta make sure you keep it in lockstep. Cannot afford to second guess yourself on any of these presses. You have to commit lest you find yourself dropping.
Yeah, and also you have to just imagine how nervous these players are, how shaky things can get, especially on a map as simple as this. Sometimes simplicity can really throw you off guard if you are not careful and you're just either just overconfident or you're just nervous that you'll find some 200 or even just something catastrophic here. And that's probably what both these players' mindsets are currently are. And there's a a drag of 200s from Dimples. That might have been just lagging behind, but now there's a break from Dimples. And I think right there, that'll settle it. And Jakson will complete the sweep just from those breaks at the end. And Dimples had it too.
Yeah, the accuracy was on their side. The 200s might have made it a little closer. We started seeing it swing over to Jackson's side. But, I mean, Jakson looking very strong in this opening round. Going to knock Dimples down into that loser's bracket and get the first upset of the weekend here on the board, as they finish this one out 4-0.
Yeah, completing the sweep here, like we said, and going to safely cruise on into the winners round of 16 to either verse Peaceful or FN922 happening later on in Sunday. Unfortunately for Dimples, they will drop down to that loser's bracket to verse the loser of that match of either Peaceful versus FN922, but that has yet to be determined. So for now, we can wrap a bow on this match. We will see you all in roughly an hour and 40 minutes or so for Alemanno versus LS Mari. So, would you like to conclude things here, Sparky?
Oh, I'd be more than glad to. Definitely stick around. Plenty more matches to come. A reminder for the players in areas observing daylight savings time tomorrow. Your match will probably be an hour earlier than you're expecting. Definitely be on the lookout for that. We don't want people missing their match because of daylight savings time. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
See you later, everyone.